Hello, cuzzy wuzzies. BearHands here, and I was meant to record this video a couple of days ago because I did have early access to the game through the pre-orders, and I wanted to do this before the main release of the game. We actually did finish the campaign 2 days ago, but due to lack of time, I couldn't record this in time. But it doesn't really matter. At this point, there's already so many other content creators and videos from other people on YouTube that did this type of videos and other more informative stuff and class and build guides and whatnot. So this is just my initial thoughts on the game after completing the campaign, and kind of what we're going through and my current progress on the character, and everything like that. So the campaign was pretty good. I'm not gonna lie. It was way better than. It surprised me a lot. It was way better than Diablo 3 campaign because that was dog shit, boring. Just I did not like Diablo 3 campaign. Also, kind of to track back a little bit, I'm a Path of Exile veteran. I have over 2,500 hours in Path of Exile. That's kind of like my main bread and butter game that I enjoy playing most of the time. And so everything that I'm kind of looking for in Diablo 4, I can't help but compare to Path of Exile and other games, other recent games, because also I got into Last Epoch lately, and I'm really enjoying that game too. So I'm just glad we have finally a lot of ARPG choices out there that we can explore. And so Diablo 4, I'm a huge Diablo game and Diablo brand fan. I've been playing Diablo since I was a kid. I played all the original Diablos on PlayStation 1 and maybe even before that on early PCs. And again, I played Diablo 3, I played Diablo 2 Remastered as well, and of course, Diablo 2 is almost close to perfection for its time. As far as modern ARPG goes, Diablo 2 no longer kind of passes that threshold for me personally. It gets repetitive and kind of boring really quickly. You can only do so many Mephisto runs before you get bored, right? Which is why I really was anticipating D4 for obvious reasons. I did not actually play a lot of D3. I finished the campaign in D3. I finished the DLC campaign in D3, but I never touched the end game. Because funny enough, back when Diablo 3 just came out, I didn't even know that these type of games had end game. I was under the impression that, you know, you have your campaigns, your whatever 5 to 6 acts, maybe DLC, and then that's it. You either, it's like game plus or whatever, or you start a new character. Anyway, back then, that was like over 10 years ago. I didn't really get into Path of Exile back then yet. I've been playing Path of Exile now for 11, I want to say 11 seasons or leagues, which means it's just over 3 years. So it's not that long of a time, but that, again, like I started playing PoE religiously way after I played any of these Diablo 3 DLC, or Diablo 2 Resurrected games. Actually, that's a lie. Diablo 2 Resurrected came out last year, 2 years ago. So I was already under PoE influence by then. But either way, I'm rambling. Let's get back to Diablo 4. So we finished the campaign. I was around level 43 when we were done with it. We finished everything on Veteran World 2. World Tier 2. I knew that it's, you know, it's easier and faster maybe to start at World Tier 1 and then just get to the Capstone dungeon and then change to World Tier 2 and then complete the dungeon. But I just wanted, you know, that little zest in my game. I wanted it to be a little bit more difficult than what World Tier 1 would actually offer you. But still, even on World Tier 2, it was surprisingly easy. I did not run into any sort of problems while going through the campaign, and we took our. It took us a few days, 4 days to be exact, to complete the campaign, around 25 hours, I believe. And that's because I kind of just wanted to take my time, chill out, read everything, all the lore, watch all the cutscenes. I did not race. I did not participate in any races. So I didn't skip anything during the campaign. It would have taken even fewer hours, actually, if I didn't go off on exploring a little bit in Act 2, because I did need a certain dungeon to unlock my build's potential, the aspect that I needed for my build, which I will get to later. But yeah, so the campaign was perfectly fine. I think we died 2 times before we got to the very last area in the very last act, and then we just died 2 more times almost immediately after we got to that area, just because I wasn't expecting it to be that hard. Because as soon as you get there, the difficulty just spikes immediately, and you just don't. Because you up until that point, you're so used to it being really kind of lackluster and easy to roll through that you don't expect a single mob to kind of just blow you up like that. So you're not focused as much on what's happening in every corner of the screen. So, and I got caught a few times, and then I just realized, oh, this is what's killing me, and then it was fine then onwards. And so every time I died, pretty much, it was because something weird happened with the groups of mobs. It was never due to a boss kill. Basically, I never died on a boss yet. Bosses are pretty easy so far. Anyway, pretty, generic mechanics. Everything's telegraphed perfectly, which is good, but also makes it a little kind of predictable and obvious. And you have so much time to react. And again, it's coming from a perspective of PoE player that, you have all your Uber Elders and Shapers and Mavens and whatnot, where you really need to, like, kind of get your shit together and know what's happening before you actually do something. Here, it's not like that at all. It's a boss, you go there, everything's kind of obvious, all the moves are pretty generic, you need less than a couple of minutes to kind of learn the boss, and then you see all the moves, and then that's it. You know what to do immediately. So every time I died, it was because I either got cornered by a lot of mobs, or I got stunned or frozen, and then in the middle of a group, so I couldn't do anything. And again, at the end, the 2 deaths were just because I wasn't expecting the difficulty spike. But the campaign is super easy. It can be done deathless for sure. Maybe on a next character, on my stream, we'll have that challenge to go deathless through the campaign or something like that. Because I can definitely see that being kind of a challenge, but not really. You know what I mean? For example, again, if we're comparing to PoE, I have 2,500 hours in PoE. I don't think I've ever done the first 10 acts or the campaign in PoE deathless. It's just a different ball game there. But anyway, talking about the actual campaign story and cinematics and the lore, fantastic. As I said in the beginning, it's so much better written than Diablo 3. You have interesting characters. The only kind of let down character, in my opinion, was Elias. I don't want to, say any spoilers right here, but I personally, didn't think the character was that interesting. Especially after a certain point when you learn about his kind of ambitions and everything. But everything else, like Lilith, oh my god, Lilith is absolute mommy. Fucking fell in love with her. One of my favorite characters. And what I like about this campaign is that every character has the gray area. There's no black and white characters. They all have their own kind of ambitions and goals, and not always do they make it clear or evident that this character is actually a bad guy or a good guy, and you constantly have to kind of guess by going through the campaign. Okay, this is what they're driven by, this is what this other character is about. And I like the way that the storyline kind of opened up and climaxed in the end, and you kind of learn everything as you go along. So that was really nice. Very welcome change of pace to Diablo genre, because ever since D2, the story was kind of predictable, kind of black and white. Okay, these are your bad guys. You are the good guy who's chasing the bad guy, and bad guy is just going from point A to point B to point C, and then you're just chasing them, and he's corrupting everything as he goes along, and you have to catch them and defeat them, and there's a next bad guy, and so on and so forth. Here, it's not really like that. Yes, there's this element of you chasing the bad guys through the campaign, but as you do that, you also meet different characters. You learn some stuff about their what drives them and what they're all about, and all that, and it becomes a little bit more interesting. And it's not just like, okay, these are the bad guys and we have to kill them, but maybe what they're doing is actually maybe it makes sense in the given circumstances. As for my class, obviously we started with the rogue here, and I'm so glad that we did, because I love the playstyle. Again, I did play the open beta and the server slam, so I went through several rogue kind of builds and abilities through that time, which made it easier for me to kind of before launch to kind of understand and choose what I was gonna play with. And we are playing Twisting Blades build, which is it's in considered an S tier. It was considered S tier before I record this video, because the recent patch kind of nerfed Twisting Blades and some other stuff for the rogue, but I believe that Twisting Blades is still really, really powerful. So basically, if I start the game here, I'll show you kind of where we at on the skill tree. And just the mobility and the constant kind of moving style and incredible DPS that you can put out with this build is kind of what we're looking at. It's absolutely fucking destroying everything. And once you get maybe something like a barrier like this on one of your legendaries, I have actually 2 barriers, which is this, and then I have one right here, which means I kind of I have 2 surviving chances on being when I'm being close to death, which really helps, because we are squishy. Rogues are squishy, and it feels squishy. Doesn't matter what I do. I try to get a lot of health with some of the pieces. I try to get dodge. As you can see here, I have the gems with the max life, here max life, here max life. So everywhere I could, I just put max life, and we're still kind of getting one-shotted sometimes. But again, I've only died 4 times in 45 levels, so we're not dying as often, but I definitely think these 2 barriers is what keeping me alive most of the time as well. Even on world bosses, we've done world boss yesterday, didn't die at all, because you know, you either have your party members kind of proc that barrier shield and you just stand in theirs, or your shield gets procced and you stand in yours, or you get your this thing, the barrier, kind of procced once you get hit. So you have a lot of, with these things, you have a lot of opportunities to survive. So that's pretty nice. Otherwise, it's a Twisting Blades build. We have our Puncture as a base skill with Fundamental Puncture, because we need that vulnerability proc. Then we have our Twisting Blades with Advanced Twisting Blades. Then we have point into Shadow Step with Methodical Shadow Step. Then we have Dark Shroud with Subverting Dark Shroud. We have 1 point in Poison Trap, and we went to Subverting Poison Trap for that increased poison damage. So basically, before I got my aspect that I needed for this build, we were playing Shadow Imbuement, just for that clear speed and that AoE effect, because what Shadow Imbuement does, it makes the mobs blow up, and then that kind of makes that does shadow damage to other mobs around them, and maybe if they don't have a lot of health left, they also blow up from the shadow damage, and then it just cascades like that, and then it's really good for clear. The reason why is because Twisting Blades don't, like base Twisting Blades without the aspect, all they do is you kind of stick them on the target, and then they're coming back to you, and they don't really do anything. I mean, they do go through the mobs, but it doesn't really create that AoE effect. But once you, let me open, where do we have that? But once you get this particular aspect, that makes it so that Twisting Blades, when they come back to you, they start circling around you. And that creates that AoE effect, meaning that while they're around you, they hit everything around you as well. So once we got that, after that point, we switched to Poison, and we are going into the end game, scaling poison damage, crit damage, physical damage, and attack speed, which is why we went into a Subverting Poison Trap for more poison damage. We have Mixed Poison Imbuement as well for 30% chance to apply double the amount of poisoning damage. We have all these 3 points with Debilitating Toxins maxed out for more survivability, because poisoned enemies deal 15% less damage to you. And that's always on, because you always have mobs standing in your poison trap, or you're always poisoning them through your Twisting Blades. You have Deadly Venom, which we will max out as well. This gives you more poisoning damage, and you have Alchemical Advantage, which gives you more attack speed. We will leave this at 1 point. Then here we went full Intervention, we went Trap Mastery, we went Adrenaline Rush, and Impetus. And last but not least, we went to Momentum, because with this build, also as your specialization, we go Inner Sight, because without Inner Sight, it's incredibly difficult to sustain your energy, because you basically use Twisting Blades a couple of times and you out of your energy. And with inner sight, you have certain, so basically attack, mark enemies. So you mark your enemies, and once you attack them for a several amount of times, then you gain unlimited energy for 4 seconds. Meaning that you can just spam your twisting blades or any other ability up until your energy is, goes off of that unlimited state, which helps a lot with DPS. So basically, as soon as that procs, you just go crazy with your twisting blades. You just go spam, 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 and then they create the surrounding flying knives around you, and that creates, and they stack, so you can have more than 3 circling you at a time, which just increases your damage significantly. So that's as far as we got right now. Now, because I decided to go poison to the end game, to the end, because I decided to do that once I went through the list of unique items, and I found this thing here. Now, we're not in the end game yet. We're not in World Tier 3, so we're unable to drop uniques as of now, but we're 5 levels away from doing the capstone dungeon. I don't think we're going to have any problems completing that, and once we're done that, we can move to World Tier 3, at which point we can start farming for uniques. And this particular unique is what's going to be adding a lot to our build, our poison build as well, because what it does is it has, on lucky hit, it has up to 20% chance to trigger a poison nova that applies poisoning damage over 5 seconds to enemies in the area. And this, obviously, when we scale our poison damage, this will do an incredible amount of dot poison damage on enemies. This is basically the same thing as Poison Necro from D2, if you've played that. Poison Necro, basically, in D2, necromancers have that skill just as a base skill, but here you get that same effect through the unique item, which is incredible. And we also may be looking at something like Fists of Fate, which makes your attacks randomly deal from 1% to up to 300% of their normal damage, which is insane. So you do another 300% damage with your skills. Or this is also not bad. It freezes enemies. You have up to 25% chance to freeze enemies, which also basically freezing, it amplifies your DPS, and it amplifies your survivability, because if the mobs are frozen, they can hit you, and that's really good as well. We do like Harlequin Crest. This is basically Shaco from Diablo 2. What it does is it just you gain damage reduction, and you gain +4 ranks to all skills, which is incredible. So if we get this before we get that, we will be using this until we farm and find this helmet. So this becomes our chase unique in this build, which is cool because it's now we have a goal, we have somewhere to strive, and we have something to farm for, basically. As far as the gameplay goes, again, the game is amazing. Technically, we never drop our FPS. It's always really smooth. The combat is incredible. The only thing right now is they still haven't fixed this bug where basically my hand is off the mouse, but when I press my Q, it moves my character for some reason, because it's bugged where your Q ability, or well, I actually changed this to QWER. You would probably have it as 1, 2, 3, 4, but this ability is basically what's making my character move without the mouse, and that's a bug. It shouldn't be like this, and Blizzard, I hope you goddamn fix this, because it's been here since the early access. Like, come the fuck on. But other than this, no kind of game-breaking bugs. nothing significant that would you know, that would make me go nuts. Again, we're over 25 hours into the game, and this is kind of like the biggest thing probably for me. It's really annoying because sometimes you just try to hit the mob with your skill and you move instead. We touched on the bosses, we touched on the gameplay. Actually, why don't we maybe kill a few mobs just to show you what it looks like at the moment. Yeah, and as I was saying earlier, in the campaign, cinematics are cool. Most of them are in-game graphics, but they're still interesting to watch because the story is interesting. That one cinematic towards the end, though, which is full CGI, is just incredible. It's probably one of the top 3 Blizzard cinematics of all time, in my opinion. As a as a 3D artist, I was blown away, and it's long as fuck as well. It's probably like around 10 minutes. But it's incredible. The storytelling, the quality of that cinematic is insane. So let me go and come here and find some mobs. Bigger pack. So as you see, those are our twisting blades, and the damage is just we have more damage than we need, honestly, at this point, and we're not even we're not even full legendary power yet. We only have 1 unique. We really haven't upgraded our gear pretty much forever, and we're already doing so much damage. So I'm really looking forward to the end game because it's going to be fucking insane. As a last thing before I go, I just wanted to talk about the shop real quick. EP back. Because there's one thing in the shop. For most of it, I don't really have a crazy opinion on the shop. Yes, it's a box price game. Yes, it has the shop. Yes, it will have a battle pass at some point. It all kind of seems to be a little too much, but because it's a live service game and they do need that constant kind of support for the team, I get it. You know what? I understand. Also, you're not forced to buy any of this. The gear in game already looks absolutely insane. Look at my character. I have 0 skins on him at the moment. It already looks sick as fuck. So you don't have to rather buy any of this. However, this right here is what I had a problem with. So if you look at my character right now, I have a puppy on the back, sitting right here. You'll probably see it better. Wardrobe, real quick. If I go back here, you'll see the puppy right with the fucking crossbow. Grab this. There's the puppy. This puppy, wolf pup, I got from playing the beta. You had to play the open beta and get to level 20 during the open beta or during Service Slam, and you would get this cosmetic as a reward. Now, this is a and that makes this piece a very unique cosmetic because if you haven't played beta or Service Slam, you have no way of getting this. So this is a very valuable piece of MTX, in my opinion. But what they've done is they went ahead and in the shop, they just put a reskinned version of that cosmetic into the shop. And this is fucking insane, Blizzard. I don't know what to say about this, because this, yes, it's reskinned. Yes, it looks a little different with different colors, but it's the same fucking thing. You know what I mean? It devalues what we got from the beta. And I do not like when companies do this. And it's just predatory, in my opinion. At least make it different than this. Put, instead of a wolf, I don't know, put a baby leopard in there, put a baby dragon, I don't care. Make, instead of antlers, put spikes on the basket. Like, I don't know, do something different. Don't just put the same reskin shit in the shop for everybody else to just be able to buy it. I don't like what they've done with this, because for me, like, I was really looking forward to getting this pup, because it's kind of like a badge of completing beta and server slam, and it's like a unique piece. Yes, it looks different to what we have in the shop right now, but to me, it's still the same thing. And from this angle, in like a dark place, you wouldn't be able to tell the difference. So to me, it kind of, it's a really weird move. I don't know why they've done this. Literally could have done any other back piece design and put it in the shop. I wouldn't care. But this is beyond crazy, in my opinion. It just left a real sour taste in my mouth after I saw this. So I don't know, just how I feel about this. And so yeah, now we're moving forward. We're in early endgame, and we're gonna be pushing towards hopefully level 100 and world tier 4 at some point. And you can, you know, follow my journey on my Twitch. I will be posting my campaign let's plays on YouTube, so you can check them out later. And thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. I'll see you on the next video.